just built this last night, and this was one of the options on the winner's choice, and it got selected. So before I can sit about it, I obviously got to take a video of it and go over it a bit. Okay, Google, volume at 9%. So obviously, as you can see, it's a Kraken build. So let's get into this build. So what we've got here is we've got a Kraken dial, and you might notice it looks a little different than the other dials I've done. So oddly enough, this dial started off basically like a stock Vostok dial. Had the legs on the back and everything, and we sanded those off and stripped this down, and we lasered this dial. And not really 100% sure what the metal is, but we did that. I painted it in like a nice like baby blue kind of color to it, right? And then sanded it. And the Kraken has like, I don't know, it's just a different kind of silver to it. I mean, you can see the brush strokes in it and everything where it was sanded, but it just has a nice color tone to it. I don't even know how to describe it, but it looks pretty awesome. So I had set this back for quite a long time just because it was an interesting color. It's a little different than my normal stuff, but I have done from time to time this baby blue stitched Italian suede strap with this inlay, and this insert goes really well with it. Now if you put them on top of each other, one's shiny versus one's not necessarily shiny, so a little bit of space here, they look very similar. If you set them on top of each other, they still look quite similar, but as close as possible as I can get on a colorway match. So I thought, you know what, let's pull that out. I matched it back up. It still looked great. I thought, well, this will look cool. Normally I do a brushed case, but I am essentially out of brush cases, and since I thought this looked pretty nice, pretty classy, before I bead blast and Cerakote and do whatever to these polished cases, maybe I'll just use a polished case for this build. So that is what I did. So this is a polished 150 case. It also has a tall coin bezel to it, and then that 5-dot baby blue insert. Anchor engraved crown on there. It's a low profile exhibition case back, stainless steel movement holder in there instead of the plastic one, and a silver rotor. And you got a little protective-y thing on here. These are my developed case backs on here. These are brandless. Not that I couldn't throw a branding on there, but this is my new low profile exhibition case backs. As you can see, this is the Italian suede leather strap. Super, super, super soft. I don't know. It looks awesome. I think you will like this, Mike. So congrats, man. Let me know, though. I haven't had anybody say anything negative, but I don't know. I'm a massive fan of them, so I'm always very happy with them. White handset on here that we custom fit to fit my movements. White handset with like teal-esque fill in there. The seconds hand is actually custom painted. We take a red seconds hand, strip it down, paint it in white, and then that's a teal or light blue teal inlay fill in that, which is paint. It is not lume. That is not lume. This lume down here. Actually, I've got a flashlight right here. So you can see those lume. Your dots will lume around here on the insert and on the dial itself, but not that seconds hand. And it's still decently bright outside. So that's the build. Brushed buckle on there, and that's the build as a whole. So These bezels are tension ring bezels, so you can turn them left, you can turn them right. They're just held on with a basically like octagonal shaped piece of wire with an opening to it. I will lay dental floss around on the lip on the case before I snap it on there, just to give it a little bit extra friction. So you can still bump it a little bit, but for the most part, it stays pretty much where you need it to go. But you can turn it left, you can turn it right. This is an automatic mechanical, so you can wind it, you can wear it, you can put it in a watch winder. But if it is dead, or you're not going to be very active, like you're driving or sitting at a desk, make sure you wind it a little bit before you put it on, because you're going to lose time. You're not going to be moving enough for that rotor to be moving around. So what you do is you'll back the crown off the threads until you hear it clicking. At that point, it should be off there. You should feel a little bit of play back and forth. You'll hear it clicking. And a wind is a turn away from you. Turning it back towards you doesn't do anything, but it's a lot easier to just go back and forth on your winding. If you do this for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, even if you're not very active, you'll keep time throughout the day mixed with that rotor movement. If you do it for something closer to like 20 seconds, you're going to max out your 31 plus hour power reserve, which is what I did, because this has been running since I built it yesterday. Not quite this time, a little bit later in the day. When you're good, pull it to the one and only click, and you can now set your time. It's not a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going. You're also going to feel the wobble crown. That's going to deflect lateral pressure from going into the stem into the movement. So if you're pushing and pulling on it, you're not actually putting any adverse pressures on that movement. It'll just roll with it. Now if you pull it straight back, obviously it's not going to go left and right. Okay, Google, what time is it?
5:36 p.m.
5:36 p.m. Then tap it, push it back over to where you're out of the wind setting. You can go from winding it to setting the time, but you cannot go from setting the time back to winding it. You'll have to re-engage the clutch in here by screwing it all the way down. So if you just push it in just a little bit and you're disengaging it, but you're not on the threads yet, you can go back and forth and you won't hear it clicking and you won't see the time move on there. So there's a clutch system in there. You're pulling it, you're pulling it out, and then you're re-engaging it when you screw it all the way back down in a nutshell. So as I referenced, this was a polished case. So if you ever put scratches into it or anything like that, that's when you're going to use a Cape Cod cloth. Just an FYI. I do not include Cape Cod cloths. I do include a lot of stuff to take care of the watches, but I typically never do anything polished. So I don't even have those. But matching beads to go with it. Whether you wear them is completely up to you. You're also going to get a silver Kraken special edition box. But what you will get with it is watch cleaners. It's good on all glass and metal parts. So everything there in the center. Some leather conditioner. This is good to keep this suede strap perfectly soft. I don't think you're ever going to have any. You're probably never going to need to use it. But if you ever need to, apply it on there, let it soak in, remove any excess. A little bit will go a long way. And then lastly, some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's basically like Polywatch. It's because you've got an acrylic glass and you can scratch the glass. If you do, put a tiny bit of this on it, buff against it using your included microfiber, and go perpendicular to the scratch, filling the scratch. Generate some heat with your thumb and you will buff out that scratch in 15-20 seconds. I have had some that I've had to do a little bit longer, but what you'll do is you'll kind of fill it, let it kind of come back to it and just kind of layer it on there. But that's like super deep scratches. But 9 times out of 10, that's not what you're going to have. You might have like a light brushing or something on there, and you can get it buffed right out. So that's the build, man. Congrats, man. I appreciate you, Mike. I hope you love it. And it's going to go out to your way Monday morning. So if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out, and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.